Hello, my loves, and welcome back to Love What Luck. Hope you're all doing well. I'm coming to you from the depths of winter. Well, not the depths. I fear there's worse to come, but it's cold, but that means it's Christmas. I've trimmed up, I'm ready. I'm strictly Christmas cups, Christmas plates is the only thing getting me through the cold weather. That and the fact that it's a Wicked week. By the time this comes out, I would have seen Wicked. I don't know if you were on the Wicked train, and I don't know if I spoke about it last year, but the excitement I have for this new film is genuinely what's been getting me through the week. I cannot wait. So yeah, that's probably the highlight of my week. I'm lying. Guys, I did the best thing this week, right? You all know I live by myself, and it can get a little lonely in that one-bed flat when you're by yourself all the time, and I was thinking to myself, wouldn't it be nice to have a little furry companion? I probably mentioned before, I originally was looking at getting a hamster. And then I was like, can I actually leave a hamster for 5 days a week? You know, sometimes I do tend to just want to jet off. Sometimes I have that itch that just needs scratching and I need to get on a plane. Am I really going to travel down to Wales with a hamster cage on a train for starters? Is that even allowed? I don't know. Probably, to be fair. Worse things happen on public transport. But, you know, am I really going to be taking a hamster back down to Wales for me to then go on holidays? I thought, you know, I can't commit to a hamster. I'll get a fish. Then I'm like, a fish isn't going to give me any comfort or solace. Like, I love a wild fish as a snorkeler, as we know, don't get me wrong. A fish in a bowl? No. So anyway, obviously what I'm getting at is that I wanted a dog, but Lord knows I can't have a dog. I'm nowhere near ready for that type of responsibility. And more than anything, to be fair, do you know, if I had like people around me, I probably would get a little small dog now, I think, although that does scare me a little bit because my old dog, Woodstock, so I had 2 chihuahuas, Woody and Willow, right? And, well, Woodstock/Woody. He was technically my sister's, and then I had baby Willow. And, well, firstly, when Willow passed away, I swore then that I would never have another dog because I was just like, I cannot go through this sadness again. I've said the story before. It was like my second day of starting a new job. And my mother was at the vet's. Obviously, I'm in London. She's back home. And she's like, yeah, Sadie, you know, really sorry. They've got to put Willow down. And I didn't know where a meeting room was. I didn't know where to go. So I had to just face the wall in a corridor, in a public corridor. Imagine, just started a job. And I was just crying, facing the wall like this. I was like, oh my God, my life. One of many bad stories I have in the office. But anyway, my point is that Woody was 18 when he passed away. Like, the little dog, he had cataracts, he had grey hair, he was deaf, he was an old man. So it is scary to get a dog. Like, it's a big commitment. Anyway, long story short, right, I didn't buy a dog, but I signed up to this website called Borrow My Doggy. So I actually signed up like a little while ago, and it's basically like a dating profile for dogs. So I put my profile up. Obviously, I just put pictures of me with different dogs. Me with my little chihuahuas, like my own ones. With Lucy's chihuahua. I put Sophie's dog on because he's bigger. I was like, let me show, you know, versatility here. A little bit of diversity. Although, to be fair, I did mainly say that I'm used to small dogs. Because even when I go with Sophie and we walk Bruno, she doesn't trust me to hold him. And she's there with me. And I'm like, do you know what? Maybe I'm not quite cut out for a big dog. I don't know. But anyway, so I put my pictures up and a little profile up about me and how I'm just like, you know, the best possible person to babysit your dog. And then there's loads of dog profiles, like Tinder for dogs, basically. It's pictures of the dogs, a little write-up about them, what they like, what they do, why they sometimes need looking after. And it's this like free service where people who love dogs but can't have them go on there and offer to walk them or to look after them. And then owners who don't want to like pay anybody to dog sit give you their dog, basically. So anyway, I matched with this little dog called Luna. She's the sweetest little thing. And I got to meet her on a dog walk today. So the first step, basically, Sarah, her mother, has no idea I've got a podcast, by the way. So hopefully, like, this is okay. She messaged me and just said, you know, do you want to go for a little dog walk in the first instance? See if you and Luna get on. And I was like, absolutely. So I go out my flat, cross the road, I bumped into her. I was meant to meet her in the park. I bumped into her. This little white curly dog is my neighbour. I couldn't believe my luck. She lives literally right opposite me. Bumped into her. This dog, guys, she's the sweetest, cutest little thing. She was all over me, showed me more love than I've shown myself in the whole 34 years of my life. Like, she loved me. I'm just going to say it. She loved me. It was love at first sight. The bond was inseparable straight away. So it was going pretty well. And then they came back to mine after the first date. Just wanted to scope out my flat. Anyway, I've been checked over and I think I'm good to go. So I'm just waiting for a date to arise now, basically, where I can look after her. Although the owner did say to me, as she left, she was like, also, you know, if you are ever just wanting some company, just give me a little message and I can bring you over for a couple of hours. I was like, she can see that the winter's affecting me. And she's like, you need just a little cut for the dog. Because they do just make everything better, don't they? So that is the highlight of my week. I'm very excited about that. I'll obviously keep you posted if I get a little play date. But what an amazing thing. I was thinking, why didn't I think about this? Like 2 years I've been living in that flat. Okay, guys, let's get into it. I've got a little question of the week this week for us, right? It comes with a trigger warning because it is men in relationships, what is one thing that you will never tell your partner? So, trigger warning alert. But here we go. It says this is a judgment-free zone because I found a thread. I can confirm it's not a judgment-free zone here. Okay, but here we go. It says it can be a secret opinion, something you did, something you would do, or something you passed, anything. She gives terrible BJs. Somebody commented saying, to the grave we take it. I'm actually mortified by that. Firstly, never ever tell me if you think I'm giving you a terrible blowjob. That's on the road, BJ. Firstly, I never want to know that, but I would like some guidance. Firstly, there's no such thing as a bad BJ. They're just bad teachers. I think you should be able to coach somebody. If you're in a relationship with somebody, maybe they don't give bad BJs. Maybe they just don't give ones the way you like it. And if you never tell them, how are they to know? Luckily, I've got a mostly female audience because I'm sure if they were men, they'd be like, you absolutely can't give a bad BJ. Let's not go into that, but communicate. You know, best believe if somebody was doing something I hated, I'd be telling them there's ways to get around that in a subtle and friendly way. Okay. Ooh, listen to this one. I came really close to cheating on my girlfriend. At after work drinks, it's always after work drinks, by the way. After work drinks is the only place, I think I've said before, that I get steaming now and get a hangover. Because you go, you haven't eaten, you're exhausted, you're drained, so you're just like downing them quick, and the drinks are normally free. They're absolutely lethal. At after work drinks in a group of about 10, a friend of a friend sat opposite me and gave me a lot of her attention, even when the whole group was talking. Escalated to her accidentally knocking my leg with her foot and then keeping it there. That's bold. A little footsie under the table. In work drinks. Christ. Which I didn't discourage. God, I don't think I've ever done such a thing. A footsie. Ooh, I think that's... Obviously, you know I have issues with feet. I think that's quite intimate. I'm not playing footsie with anybody unless they like a partner of mine. Wow. Okay. When the group left to walk to a club, she said to me that she wanted to go but lived in such and such part of London, so it would be a pain in the arse to get home in the early hours. Okay, she's planted the seed right there. I let her know that I just pray that she doesn't know that he's got a girlfriend, by the way, because I can respect the game, but if she knows that he's taken... No, I'm sorry. I'm immediately going to have to take a disliking to you. I let her know that where she lived happened to be 2 stops from me on the tube. Well, how about that? Maybe we should leave now, is the reply I got. The gal knows what she wants. At this point, I could feel myself, At this point, I could feel myself getting hard. Oh, come on now. All she said is that she lives in friggin' Clapham, and you're getting hard over there. Oh, God, loser. At this point, I could feel myself getting hard, thinking this is an increasingly sure thing. That's actually made me so sick. Like, are you such a simple creature that forget the footsie under the table? All you've actually got to do is say, oh, I don't know if I can get home. Like, can I stay at yours? Apparently, that's all you need to do to a man. Thinking it was a sure thing, even more so when she smiled to me and took my hand as we walked to the club. The bitch is bold. She's bold. This is how girls are doing it now. Corporate girls out in the streets. Wow. Need to up my game. Anyway, the closer me and her and the group are getting to the club, the more I'm sobering up and thinking of my girlfriend of 3 months. Here we go. And whether I can go through with this. I mean, better late than never. My girlfriend and I haven't yet had a conversation about being exclusive at this point. To that I say, okay, fair, but also you call her your girlfriend. How can you be boyfriend-girlfriend without being exclusive? Unless, following on from Amy's episode, unless you're polyamorous or you're in an open relationship, but they're obviously not, do you know what I mean? So, if somebody asks me to be their girlfriend, I mean, usually it goes, let's be exclusive, let's be boyfriend-girlfriend, but if somebody's beelining straight away for the girlfriend thing, I am assuming, obviously, that we're not sleeping with other people. Right, anyway, 3 months, okay. At this point, the horny part of my brain is just repeating, do it, over and over. But eventually I made some awkward excuse to say goodbye outside the club and headed home. Here we go. I remember the girl giving me daggers, but it was the right decision, of course. My girlfriend and I have a flat and 2 dogs together and will hopefully marry in a couple of years' time. I'm assuming that's now. Obviously they didn't have a flat and the dogs at the time. Do you know what? For that, I'm going to let him walk off the Graham Norton chair, but I'm going to tip it back slightly. And depending on his age, I'm sure he's going to find it quite difficult with his back to get up at that angle. Like, he can walk because he didn't take it too far, but you have also held somebody's hand at the club. And for that, that's not acceptable, really, is it? Okay, somebody's commented, she can know everything if she asks. Let's not go there. That is such a cop-out because there's some questions we don't think to ask. There's some things like that we just need to know. It's like just because we haven't thought to ask you, have you cheated on me? Have you been to work today? Have you got a job still? Like just because we didn't ask these questions doesn't mean we don't deserve to know the information. That's a timeout. Ooh. This one's touchy for me. The length of time she spends watching reels, shorts and TikToks makes me think she isn't very intelligent. And another one commented this. My wife complains about anxiety and a lowered attention span, but gets angry when I suggest to her to lay off the phone. Wow. Trigger warning. No, to be fair, I am making a very conscious effort to not be on my phone. I don't know if I told you, I bought a Lumi clock. Like the sunrise ones. So now when I go to bed, I leave my phone in the living room. And that's been amazing because we know I lock down my morning routine and that's really good. But nighttime, sometimes if I go to bed and if I can't sleep or something, I'll just go on TikTok and it'll just TikTok, people say don't go on your phone before bedtime. TikTok for me it relaxes my brain in a weird way, even though I know it can't because of all the shit it shows you, and I know it's bad, but there's just something about it. I just think it just stops my brain from thinking, and I was getting into the habit of literally watching it to make myself tired and to fall asleep, and I thought, this has got to stop. So I bought one of those clocks. Actually, one of you guys messaged me to try the Lumi clock. So yeah, thank you, because I've got one. And now it wakes you up with the lights and I've got little bird sounds. And yeah, it's really nice, especially now in the dark winters, which is what she told me to get it for. Yeah, it is a massive help. It's really good, I recommend. I didn't even get the super expensive one. They've got a cheaper one for 30. And I was I'll just get that. I didn't really want to spend £100 on an alarm clock. Yeah, anyway, so it definitely has improved my screen time, which is good. Guys, I banged my ex-wife the night before our first date. It's better that I don't know that. Actually, that is one thing. I don't think there's any good that can come of that, because if you were together and it was like the farewell bang, it's horrible to think about, but like shit happens. He's going on a first date with you, do you know what I mean? He doesn't know you anything. He doesn't know you, like, doesn't know what to expect. And then, he's met you, and then great. He's left the ex-wife behind and you are now together. But I think if you got told that afterwards, especially by that point, if you're in a relationship with somebody and they've been married before, you would have probably already heard stories about their ex-wife, wouldn't you? Like, there'd already be little things that you'd know about her. So then to find out that she banged your boyfriend the night before the first date, I fear that's something that you have got to take to the grave. There's some things that people are better off just not knowing, I personally think. Oh, actually, that reminded me of a message that I got from one of you guys. She said it was when it was episode 153 about living with an ex. I think I did one of my own in or fold about, like, if you meet somebody and they still live with their ex, like, would you continue it or not? And I said no, because I was like, absolutely no, like, I don't trust that. I think I said no anyway. Imagine I said I'd be open to it, but no, I don't think so. It would just be too much for me. I would just think no. Anyway, she says, because I did actually say in the episode, I'm happy to be proven wrong here. And Siobhan messaged and she said, I always said that I'd never date a guy living with an ex, but I took a chance. We had one date and he never went back there. He moved in with me, and 7 years later, we're married with a beautiful little boy. So guys, I stand corrected. If you meet somebody special and they're still living with their ex, it might not always be, toxic or because they're hiding something. It could just be a circumstance, and you could just, be the reason that they leave their ex. And I feel like that's kind of similar to that other story. I do think sometimes there is something in taking chances, especially after last week's episode with Amy. Like, I think, honestly, especially as women, the overthinking that we do. And do you know, now I'm back in therapy and absolutely love it, by the way. But I have come to realise that probably for that hour that I'm in therapy, as much as like I love it and it's so helpful, it's the saddest I am probably all week, because you're just like thinking and mulling stuff over, and sometimes I'm just like, oh my God, it's good to not overthink stuff and just take a chance. And I'm not talking about like, blindly going into something if people have got proven track records of not being good, but sometimes just I've said this before, sometimes just gotta get a little bit of adventure back in you and just take the chance. That's my vibe this week, guys. Take the chance. And it was my vibe last week with Amy as well, because I do think there's a thing, right, where we say, oh, I don't want to get my hopes up. I've had an interview, but I don't want to tell anyone about it because I don't want to get my hopes up in case I'm disappointed. Or I've gone on this amazing first date with somebody, but I don't want to get my hopes up. You're still going to be just as disappointed. Like, it doesn't matter how much you try and protect yourself. It doesn't matter how much you try and plan things ahead. Things are still going to hurt. And I really don't think you can prepare yourself for it. You can prepare your situation for stuff. Like, I don't know. If I fail my probation in 3 months' time, I'm going to do, like, waitressing or whatever. Like, you can have a plan in place. I'm going to move in with somebody, but I think it's okay to have like some sort of plan. But when you're overthinking something and thinking, oh, but what if this goes wrong and what will I do then? And you can't prepare yourself, like, because when shit hits the fan, you never know how you're going to act, and you can have everything lined up and you think you're going to act one way, but you don't know how you're going to feel until something happens in that moment. And sometimes you just got to go for it. I saw a really good quote, actually. It says, you are afraid of surrender because you don't want to lose control, but you never had control. All you had was anxiety. that shit, I was like, damn, we haven't got control. We think we have. We think we've got all these plans and, anticipating everything. But mostly, again, can't speak for every situation, but mostly it is actually anxiety. And I've learned that this week, that, the overthinking stuff and trying to plan for stuff is actually just your brain's way of protecting you. And that's what anxiety does. It tries to, because basically I've had a really anxious week this week. Ms. Anxiety came knocking at my door this week, and she doesn't come very often. But she came this week. She barged in. And do you know what was worse is she came on a Friday morning. Friday mornings are normally my peace and joy. I absolutely love my Fridays. And then Friday lunchtime, I go for my therapy session. I get my Gale's dark hot chocolate, which I'm obsessed with. If I haven't mentioned it yet, get to know it, because it's all I think about. It's become the highlight of my week. And Friday's my day for that. This week, Ms. Panic, I would say she wasn't even anxiety. She was like full blown. She came running, she came knocking. And I think lots of the time it is like trying to control a situation. You just get yourself in such a tiz. Sometimes you've just got to take a friggin' leap. You've only got one life. And you're living it like in your head. Got to take some chances, guys. In unprecedented scenes this weekend, I went to a club in a jumper and wide leg jeans. Not dissimilar to what I'm wearing now. I might have even had a claw clip in. I can't actually believe it happened. Went out for the boxing, and it was just one of those things. It was just like a hop, skip, and a jump. Then there was a group of us, and then it was like, let's go to the club. And I was like, thank God I had heeled boots on. But I was like, I'm in a jumper. I could have easily just as... Well, I'd gone out shopping. Like, do you know when it was like a completely unplanned thing? And then I ended up in a Mayfair club in my jumper. I felt like a proper mom. Going to a club in your 30s is a little bit embarrassing anyway, because when you've got to scan that ID and your picture and your age flashes for all to see, it's so embarrassing. 25, 24, 18, boop, 34. Like, does it need that? I need to know, like, why the whole queue needs to see how old you are and your picture. My picture's me when I was, like, 18 or something, or 19. I've got a side fringe. And 34, like, I'm probably older than the bouncers. It is, like, going into, this is 40. Like, am I too old to be here? That's what I felt like. I was, like, on a mom's night out, but I was in a Mayfair club where there was, like, topless dancers and, fully girls on nights out and, like, dressed up, and boys too. I was in a jumper and jeans. I can't believe I did it. But you know what? There's something about your 30s, because if I was in my 20s, I would have been, like, mortified, and I still would have done it, but I probably would have been like drunk, and I would have been like more embarrassed, especially because I was like more on the club scene as well. This time I was like, oh my God, how crazy, I look like a mom, but it is what it is. Like, I deserve to be here. I've been through enough of these club nights with you little hoes. I deserve to be here in my jumper. In the end, though, I was so hot from dancing, I had to roll the jumper up into my bra. I didn't have a vest on. Usually I like to wear a little safety net vest underneath my jumper, just that little extra layer, like just in case. Didn't have it on, did I? Biggest mistake. So I was sweating. But best believe I still pop locked and braked in that club. I actually did see a promoter that I used to know very well, really nice guy, and I was like, I just can't. I thought any other time I would go up, but I just thought, not today. His last memory of me is like, a club girl. I'm in the dress, I'm schmoozing round the club, like I'm working that club, and to see me now in my jumper and my boots, I just thought, I can't let him down like that. I can't let myself down. So I avoided it. Okay, I've also got another message from one of you guys. It was a comment on one of the YouTube videos, and I've just been meaning to read it out because I loved it. She says, I was in my workout studio fitting rooms last weekend, minding my own business. Not really, she put in brackets. And one of my favourite class instructors was chatting to a friend, and the friend was talking about a guy and how he wasn't getting back to her, and how usually there were gaps in their communication, but how this one was longer than usual, and how he works nights, so maybe that's why, but she was wondering why he didn't respond, blah, blah, blah. When I left, I said bye to my instructor, and then turned to her friend and said, "It's none of my business, but if he's not treating you like you want to be treated, then it doesn't matter why. You deserve better." I'm sorry, mic drop. That's a scene from a film. That is, he's just not that into you. Like, so good. It's like Sex and City, where Carrie and Berger, trigger warning, trigger word, Berger. If any of you like Berger from Sex and City, alarm bells, because he was not the one. It's like when Miranda's saying, I think they'd been on a date. This is really scratching my memory now. I think Miranda had been on a date, but he didn't wanna. The guy said he couldn't come up to her flat because like he had work or something. And they were saying the stories, and Charlotte and Carrie were like, "Oh, okay, well, nice. You're still gonna see him again? Yeah, lovely." And Berger's like, and Carrie's asking him to elaborate, and he just goes, "He's just not that into you." And obviously Miranda can handle it, and she's like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "Look, if a guy wants to come up, he's coming up. It doesn't matter if he's got an early flight. It doesn't matter if he's got a meeting in the morning. If he wants to see you, he's coming up. And you're probably not going to hear from him again." And she didn't hear from him again. And then Miranda felt like that was so freeing that she does a similar thing where she hears two girls talking on lunch about this guy. And she goes up to them and says, like, "Look, he's just not that into you." But they can't handle it, and they like, "Oh, no, that's not happen." And they weren't ready for it. So it is very risky doing this. Like, I could never, but I love it. And I also just feel like sometimes advice from a stranger, I think sometimes just hits harder. And I don't know if that makes sense, because obviously we trust our friends and our families, and we lean on those people all the time. But there is something about like a stranger or an outsider giving like a completely unbiased opinion. Although it'll never be completely unbiased, because everyone's going to come with their own experiences and shit. But like, they don't know you. They don't know what's going to make you feel better. They don't know the other person. And I just think sometimes you need to hear some stuff from a stranger for it to actually hit. Or maybe not a stranger, but like not a close friend. And I just love it. And she said, honestly, I need to close my ears, but I just can't. And she said, girls have the power to say this is not good enough because this is not what I want. It doesn't matter what he's doing or why. And I just think, preach that shit. Because we're so accommodating to people. And sometimes it's just as simple as we want something. If that person repeatedly can't give it to us, why have we got to keep bending? Like, yeah, you've got to be understanding of some situations. If somebody's in work a lot, or if they've got like a family issue on or something, fair enough. But there's a message actually that I saw. This ties in really well actually. She said, "I want more consistent good morning and good night texts from my boyfriend, but I'm not sure if that's a fair expectation." What has it come to where asking for a good morning and a good night text isn't a fair expectation? The bar is on the floor. Come on. Anyone can send a good morning and a good night text. It doesn't have to be when they first wake up, but come on. That made me sad to read. Honestly, it made me sad. I was like, you want a good morning and a good night text, obviously. And you're not getting that, and you were questioning whether what you want is too much, rather than questioning, how isn't he able to do that? What a useless person, or how can he be so careless? You're questioning yourself instead of him, and it made me sad. Oh my God. She says, "My boyfriend and I have been together for about 2 years. This isn't a new guy that like doesn't know these things, or maybe doesn't care about you that much because it's a start. They've been together for 2 years. They're in their 30s, 34 and 36. We both have demanding jobs," key word on both there, "and usually only see each other once or twice a week. Because of that, I really value small, consistent ways to stay connected when we're apart, of course." Something I would really appreciate is a simple good morning or good night text. It doesn't need to be a long conversation, just a quick check-in, so I feel connected to him between the times we see each other. He's not a big texter or phone call person, so communication can sometimes feel limited. I'm wondering if this is a reasonable thing to want in a long-term relationship. Oh my God, I feel so sad for this person. I feel so sad because you're so in something that you can't see how much of a clear basic need this is. Like, it's really not a big deal. Or if my expectations might be higher than most typical, I'd like to find a healthy balance between wanting closeness and respecting that he connects differently. What are your thoughts on this kind of expectation? How do other couples handle staying connected when they don't see each other often? Firstly, I think anyone's got time to send a good morning or good night text because it's when you get into bed. So it's not as if you're asking for something in the middle of the day when, shit's crazy. You're not asking for a full conversation because I'll be honest, sometimes when it's really late at night, you haven't got the bandwidth, depending what your day's been like, let's be honest, mostly work related. Sometimes you haven't got the bandwidth for a full conversation, but all she's asking for is a good morning and good night. And I do try and be an understanding person. And I can understand if he doesn't do it first thing. Maybe he wants to, I used to send a good morning text as soon as I wake up. And sometimes even me now, it can go sometimes later, even like with my mother. Like sometimes I'm messaging her at 10 because, like picture an office day. You get up, you do, like normally for me, I get up, I do a bit of editing. Then I have to get ready to leave to the office. Then you're on the commute. Then, it's very stressful. But I'll still send it. You can still send that text. It doesn't have to be, it can work. You can work it around your time. And if he's struggling to send it first thing, or if he's struggling to send it at a certain time, then say that. But you can send the text. I'm sorry. If you haven't even got time to send a text, you can literally, I actually don't know how voice to type works, but I see the Kardashians doing it. I'm not tech savvy enough for that. But the easiest thing to do is when you're on WhatsApp, slide that little thing up and just say, morning, sorry, I'm rushing. Come on. And it's not just about like a text, but I just think if you are not getting something repeatedly, like not everyone's perfect and sometimes things slip, that's completely fine. But if you are repeatedly asking for something and it's literally over and over again and you've communicated why you don't like it, we don't see each other much, I really need this thing. And over again, that person just cannot get it together. I fear it's time to walk away. Because otherwise, you're just giving. And it's like you're a big bag of sand. And with every ounce you give in, and eventually you've got no sand left in you. Never compared myself to a bag of sand before. But that's the analogy I am going with. You're just going to end up draining yourself, and that's not fair. And you know what? I would bet that you wouldn't do that for your partner, like if there's something that they wanted. And that's something I think I've been realising lately is I think people have different stuff that they get like pissed off about. And sometimes it's based on like what they would never do. And it's like if I'm somebody that, like, 'cause I remember this is coming to my head. What's her name? Karen Brady. Karen Brady said before on an interview on the Diary of a CEO that she doesn't care if her partner like cancels on her. I remember saying like if she's got a work event and he doesn't want to come, she doesn't care. And I imagine that means that she would do that to him, and that's fine. But if you were somebody like that would never cancel on your partner, especially if it's like a work thing or something important to them, and then they cancelled on you, that's going to hurt even more, innit? And I think that's a thing as well, Whereas if you feel like you are giving something to somebody all the time and they can't do it back, when you say would always be able to text them good morning, then I just think it hurts even more, and you're giving way too much, and it's not good. And I just don't, is anything really worth that? Emptying your bag of sand? I just don't know. Anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. I hope you all have a lovely week. Please, guys, please remember to subscribe. Please share the episodes if they stick with you. If you're listening, please tag me on Insta. I'm at Sadie Maltby or at Love What Luck. I love knowing that you guys are listening or watching. So, yeah, if you are, then please tag me. That really makes my day. And, yeah, just remember to subscribe, follow, tell your friends. Thank you so much. And I'll speak to you next week.